Hi everyone, my name's Marco and welcome to my home kitchen.
Let's spend time with Marco, but the food is the star, so it's probably worth sharing.
Today I'm going to walk you through a recipe for reliable pancakes. Now, everyone has their favorite recipe for pancakes, their best ever, their fluffiest buttermilk pancakes. Today I just want to talk about one that's easy and predictable. Because for me, when I make pancakes, it's an easy, quick dinner after a long day where my appliances got delayed for the 5th time, or it's really early on a Saturday morning and you're trying to feed a lot of people. So with this recipe, I try to make it easy to remember. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 for all the ingredient portions. And it comes together in like 10 minutes. It uses things you already have in your pantry because the last thing I want to do when I'm making pancakes is go to the store for buttermilk. So I'm going to show you how to make the pancakes, how to cook the pancakes, as well as different variations you can do for toppings and serving so that you can have these for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or as my boss says, lunch dessert. Fluffy pancakes are basically a chemical reaction. When you're using baking powder, it's a mix of starch, baking soda, and something that creates acid when it gets in contact with water. The problem with baking powder is that those acids are typically going to be fully used as you mix the batter. Those acids activate at 40 degrees Celsius. That's just barely above body temperature. A lot of recipes use buttermilk to bring that acid in. It's pretty acidic and it gets more acidic when it's heated. In my case, I don't want to go to the store to buy buttermilk. I don't know what to do with a liter of buttermilk. It's just going to sit in the fridge and I'm going to feel bad for not using it. So instead of buttermilk, I'm adding the juice of a lemon to milk. And that enables you to also open the world up to different milks like non-dairy milk. So it's your choice how you want to make this. For the video today, I'm going to use this dairy milk, but if I was making this for myself, I'd be using cashew milk. I prefer cashew milk when I'm cooking and baking because it has a higher fat and protein content that really mimics what's in cow's milk. So with all the nerdy science aside, let's make some pancakes. For this recipe, I'm using a kitchen scale for the ingredients. This really is going to increase the consistency and reliability of your home cooking. The other benefit is it makes this recipe incredibly easy to remember, and it all comes together in basically one bowl. The ingredients are as easy as 1, 2, 3. You have 1 egg, 200 grams of all-purpose flour, and 300 grams of dairy or non-dairy milk. You repeat 1, 2, 3 again with 10 grams of baking powder, 2 grams of salt, and 30 grams of white sugar. The only thing that doesn't fit into the 1, 2, 3 is 15 grams of freshly squeezed lemon juice or some other acid that you have, such as vinegar. So using a kitchen scale, I'm going to start with the dry ingredients. I've already measured out my flour here, that's 200 grams of flour, and now I'm going to add baking powder, salt, and sugar. When you're measuring dry ingredients by weight, I highly recommend using just a small bowl on your scale, because if you add too much, it's easy to take away from this bowl. It is really difficult to take away once it's added into your flour. I've done it a ton of times. It's not fun. 10 grams of baking powder. You want to make sure you're using baking powder and not baking soda. Add your baking powder to the flour. Now the 2 of our 1, 2, 3 is 2 grams of salt. Another benefit of using a scale is that it doesn't matter what brand of salt you use because you're measuring it by weight, not volume. So it'll be consistent regardless of the type of salt that you're using. So 2 grams of salt. The third part of 1, 2, 3 is 30 grams of sugar. Now you want to give the dry mix a quick whisk, and this is just going to make sure that you don't end up with any clumps of salt or baking powder inside of a pancake down the road. That would not be fun. Set that aside. Now you want to get a bigger bowl And in here, we're doing 1, 2, 3 again. So starting with 1 egg. This egg is 50 grams, just in case you were wondering. You want to break up the egg a little bit, and you can add some air in here just as an insurance policy for a fluffier pancake. Now I'm going to add 300 grams of milk. It is 302 grams. I'll allow it. Last part of the wet mix is the juice of 1 lemon, which is about 15 grams. That was exactly 15 grams. So just give this a quick mix and add the flour mixture in as well. Now, this is a pretty important step to pay attention to. You only want to mix this until all of the dry flour disappear. The batter should still have lumps and clumps in it. That's okay. If you mix past this point, you're going to end up with very gluey, chewy pancakes, and it's not going to be a very enjoyable pancake experience. Once it looks like this, stop mixing, and the batter needs to sit here for about 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, all those clumps of flour are going to hydrate, so it's not going to actually be dry flour when you bite into your pancake. The clumps of dry flour help it have more structure, so it's not going to pool in your pan. It's going to rise nice and fluffy. This is also a perfect time to start preheating your pan. Preheated pan is going to lead to better pancakes. You've probably heard that the first pancake is usually a pancake, and a lot of the reason for that is in how you preheat your pan to get even heating for the cooking process. In this case, it means putting your pan on low for like 5 minutes. The reason for that is as it slowly preheats, your pan is going to heat from the center out to the sides. And that needs some time for that heat to kind of become even. Then when you put a cold pancake in the middle, it has that extra heat in the sides of the pan to come back to the center. Otherwise, you're going to end up with an undercooked or a burnt pancake with a white ring on the outside. While your pan preheats, this is the perfect opportunity to make another cup of coffee or to prepare any ingredients you want to put on top of the pancake while it's cooking. So it's been a couple of minutes and the pan feels pretty evenly heated. Now you want to butter the pan. I like to keep the butter in the wrapper. It just makes it easy to hold. And you can just move it around the pan pretty easily. What you're looking for when you put in the butter is that it bubbles up evenly but doesn't immediately turn brown, and that it doesn't run from the center of the pan to the outside. If either of those happen, your pan's not evenly heated because it's looking for those cold spots. So turn down the heat, wait another minute or two. For these pancakes to be reliable, I'm also using a 1/4 cup cookie scoop. This just makes it so much more even. Everything's the same. They're like $9. I also use this all the time. You can also use a ladle. It's your pancake. You can make it the size of the pan if you really want to. Time for the first pancake. Grab a scoop of the batter, drop it in the pan, and wait. What you'll start noticing right away is that there's some vigorous bubbles happening. This is part of the baking powder activating, and then as the lemon juice heats up, it's going to add even more of an acidic punch to that mix, and the bubbles are going to start to get bigger, and that is what creates the fluffy, iconic texture of a pancake. Pancakes usually take 1 to 2 minutes per side, and when you're looking to see if it's ready to flip, you want to look for these big bubbles that are starting to pop, and the outside ring of the pancake should start being matte instead of like a glossy wet look. If you flip it too early, it might splash across the pan, it might fold in half. If you flip it too late, it's going to be burnt. You get used to it over time. but the first one is here for learning, like this being my first video. It's okay if it's a bit weird. This is looking ready to flip now. You can see the bubbles are popping. The outside looks a bit dry. It looks pretty good. There's a bit of unevenness to the color, but it's the first pancake, and I'm okay with that. It's still going to taste good no matter how even the color is, as long as you make sure it's cooked all the way through. The easiest way to tell if your pancakes are cooked all the way through is just by touching them. And right as you flip it over, the edges are going to be cooked almost immediately, but the middle is still going to be pretty jiggly. And then as the middle begins to feel more like the outsides, that's going to tell you this pancake is done. A single pancake also takes exactly one Jeopardy theme song to cook. This pancake looks ready to come out. Normally when I take each pancake off, I would keep them on a wire rack in the oven at about 200 degrees until the whole batch is done. That's actually a lie. Normally I would eat these one at a time. It's a bit painful to walk back and forth. The other thing you can do is let them fully cool on a wire rack and then freeze them individually and then put them in a Ziploc bag to freeze. That's really handy to have as snacks because you can just put them in the toaster. They also make great gifts. As you can see, the second pancake is much nicer than the first pancake. It's not all about appearances. By using a kitchen scale to weigh out the ingredients, it makes it easy to double or triple this for a large crowd. Something fun you can do with pancakes to appease the wide variety of stakeholders in your life, up to and including tiny humans, is adding toppings directly onto the pancake as it cooks. This means you still only use one pancake mix, but everyone gets whatever flavor of pancake that they want. I have a bunch of examples I'll show you at the end of the video, but for this example, I'm going to show you how to make a caramelized banana pancake, which is way better than normal banana pancakes. To make this into a caramelized banana pancake, you need a banana, and you're going to peel it and cut it in half, and then in half the other way. So you should have two little pieces of banana like this. You start this process normally adding the batter to the pan, and you let the pancake cook about halfway here. If you put toppings on too soon, they're going to sink all the way to the bottom and create like a really dense pancake. Where if you let this get to this bubbling stage, the pancake will be much more tasty. So you'll see there's some bubbling happening. Now's a great time to put in your toppings. So I'm going to put these bananas on top. I did that a bit early. You can see the pancake sliding a little bit this way. That's not what you want. Do as I say, not as I do. Follow the same direction for when to flip. You want it to look a little bit dry around the outside. If you flip too soon, the toppings might go flying. So you want to make sure you have confidence in your pancake. With other toppings like blueberries, I would just flip it over. But with the bananas, I want them to get a nice caramelized outside. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more butter after I lift up the pancake. The second side is just like before. You're waiting 1 to 2 minutes to see how it looks. All right, let's take a look. You can see the bananas got nice and caramelized. It's going to be super tasty. This will be great with maple syrup and cinnamon, really anything. For pancakes and basically everything that I do, I use this fish spatula. You can see it's extremely thin. It has this nice little angle on it, and it's extremely flexible. So what that means is when you're going to go flip a pancake down the high sides of a pan, it's going to bend, and you'll get really far into the pancake, making it more stable, more reliable. If you're using a nonstick pan, I would get one that's lined in silicone, but I don't like those as much because they tend to stick, and that's when you'll like mush your pancake together, and that's not fun for anyone. So that's why I'm using stainless steel, and I love this thing. When you get to the last pancake, just scrape everything into the pan. And if there is only one tip you take away from this entire video, wash your bowl immediately before you flip this pancake. It's going to take 30 seconds to wash this bowl right now. And if you leave it even for 15 minutes, the flour is going to cake on and it's going to be impossible to wash without soaking it. So anytime you're working with flour, wash your bowls while they're wet. Otherwise, you're in for a nightmare. I hate washing the dishes, so I'm going to do this right now. My bowl is clean and my pancake is ready to flip. Seriously, I hate washing the dishes. And that's the last pancake. Using the 1/4 cup scoop, I'm usually getting 8 or 9 pancakes out of this recipe. That's enough to serve 2 adults. If you're serving a family, I would for sure double this recipe. I'm going to clean all this up and let's talk about probably the best part of pancakes, things you put on top of pancakes. When it comes to serving pancakes, you have a lot of options. There's 2 main places where you can add in other ingredients: when they're cooking and when you're plating. For sweet pancakes, that'll be things like bananas, blueberries, some jam, some thinly sliced apples. For savory pancakes, that might be things like shallots, green onions, garlic, or tomatoes. There's a question of how thinly you should slice something when you're putting it in. And that comes down to, would you put it on the pancake in its uncooked form? So for me, would you put a banana sliced on top of a pancake? Yes. Would I put slices of whole uncooked apple on top of a pancake? Probably not. So the banana, you'll see it's just quartered when it goes on, but with the apple, I would very thinly slice it to put it on top. That would hold true for the difference, for example, between a shallot and a green onion. Green onions can be a little thicker, shallots, paper thin. When it comes to putting syrups on your pancake, you have a lot of options. As a Canadian, I'm legally obligated to promote maple syrup, but it is delicious and you should use it over the artificial syrups. This is an application that is just maple syrup will shine. An alternative I really like is this black currant syrup. It's a very different pancake experience. It's very sharp and tangy and bright. This is really good with fresh fruit and some powdered sugar. If you're serving your pancakes with, say, bacon and a poached egg, this hot honey drizzle is really, really good. Also made in Canada. So if you make your pancake savory, like let's say you put shallots in your pancake, you can then make a really great lunch with canned sardines, some lemon juice, and some chili crisp. There's a ton of different options for how to customize these, and this is why I really like this as a base recipe. Turn it to anything you want. You can be really creative with it and just use whatever's in your pantry. I'm gonna make a stack of pancakes, try them out, and I'm gonna use these banana ones because I had one earlier and they're really good. So for stacking your pancakes, you just put as many as you want for as hungry as you are. I like to put a little bit of butter. Butter makes everything better. And then for these, with the bananas, I'm going to go with the classic maple syrup. And give them a taste. I don't know if you can see, but they're very light, they're very fluffy. Gonna be good. It's warm, fluffy, carby, delicious. For me, these pancakes are everything you want out of a comfort meal. They're reliable, they're easy as 1, 2, 3, and they just taste good. You can make them out of anything that you already have in the house. It's the kind of thing that'll help you survive the pandemic, at least emotionally. If you made it this far, thank you. This is my first video on YouTube, so if you like and subscribe, that's really going to mean a lot. And I hope to publish a couple more of these over the coming weeks. Thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.
It's probably worth sharing.